improving in some areas and focusing on areas that we need to get better, which there's a lot of those. But I think it's an exciting time for us because I do think that there's areas that we can make large improvements. We're having to play some younger players for injuries, but we're also playing younger players because we want to. You know, whether you talk about what we did with Juanyeh Thomas yesterday, you know, rolling him some in at right tackle, and you know, Shamar James getting some work. I mean, you have to play these young guys because you're going to need them at some point. So there's things we're excited about, but the focus is now you move on to, you know, the Jets, another opponent, another championship opportunity coming in here.
Are you surprised that we're still talking about the struggles of the defense, particularly in the secondary?
No.
You have veterans there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, there's a way to stop having those conversations, and that's to play better. We're capable of playing better. We need to play better. I thought our first down run efficiency and overall efficiency on first down was, I think, the best we've had, like 65% win on first down. Where we struggled was third down again, and we need to do a better job of self-scouting ourselves and what are we struggling with and what formations are giving us problems and why. We need to practice third down better, you know. You know, and then obviously in the red zone, you know, last couple of weeks we haven't done a great job of keeping them out of the end zone. And so for us defensively, it's, you know, the explosive plays have been a problem, and then, you know, getting the people off the field on third down and making them kick field goals. That sounds like a lot. We can't fix all of that today. We can't go and put in a magic defense that's going to fix those things. We have to fix it through execution and team defense and communication and better coaching, and that's what we're working for.
Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys, just a housekeeping note to start off. Any of the guys have a chance to come up IR or you start their window? Who are those guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about that, you know, probably in through tonight and into tomorrow. I think there's a chance that there's a couple guys. I won't share with you who, but those conversations are a little bit early for us. You know, we just kind of finished up the game, and now that we start getting ready for prepping the Jets, we'll have a better idea. But there's a chance that you could see a little bit of movement.
Secondly, in overtime, that you on fourth down, that you even think about going for it, considering how the defense that played to that point and try to put a touchdown up?
No, you know, I mean, we had our shots down there. You know, I didn't really like my third down play call. I thought there's a better call I could have gone with. That's me being accountable to the team and myself. And but no, I think you got at that point, you know, you're in overtime. You got to give yourself a chance. You get the lead, and we're going to always trust our team. You know, we're going to trust the team. And unfortunately, we weren't able to win the game, and we came away with a tie. And it doesn't sit well with any of us. But no, I didn't second guess that thought.
Brian, Todd Archer with ESPN. Through a month here, you guys have the highest rated offense in yards and things like that. But when you look at complementary football, is your third down offense something that you needs to get better? Maybe in early in games, you only scored 10 points in the first quarter. Like, that's a way that you can help your defense in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, I think so. We never look at, hey, we want to be the first, you know, best offense in the NFL. We want to lead the league in wins. You know, that's what we want to do as a football team, and we don't really get caught up in the rankings per se, either good or bad, because it doesn't really matter. You got to find a way to win. But I would say, you know, we did some complimentary things yesterday. I thought we finally won the turnover battle, Todd. I thought that was good. The James Houston sack was a huge play, and then we were able to go out and sudden change. But, you know, yeah, we can be better on third down for sure. And part of it is, you know, being able to live in more third downs and manageable and things like that. We're certainly talented enough to do that. And then in terms of, you know, time of possession, that certainly helps as well. But I will say again, you know, we came out yesterday and, you know, the plan all along was if we get to third manageable in the first drive, I was planning on running it the whole time. Very good front, you know, saw some things that we thought we could take advantage of from them. You know, they're pretty aggressive blitzing defense, and you know, they kind of had us out leveraged. So their call was better than our call on the first third down. But again, it's a 60-minute game. I'm the first one to always preach it to our guys. You can't win the game in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. You're going to win it in the fourth quarter. And So we'll look at it, but the third downs would probably be the biggest thing I would say that we just need to make sure we're on top of.
And then another overtime game. Do you have the same? How do you take care of guys' bodies? Do you think you'll do the same Wednesday kind of deal?
Yeah, there'll be some things that we tweak. I got to see all the numbers still. I haven't seen all the numbers from the the catapult and all that stuff. We'll adjust something, but I plan on practicing. We'll just see what it looks like.
And then with Pickens, what did you when you made the trade? Did you reach out to people before that had been around this guy to say, hey, what is he like? Tell me about him. Did you do any of that?
Oh yeah.
What were you told about?
Different things. How much he loved football, and that he loves to play the game, and you might have to deal with him being late occasionally, and some things like that, which sometimes we all oversleep. I could have slept a few more minutes this morning, but I didn't. But for the most part, it was all positive, and the people that we spoke to in and around the league and in Pittsburgh and at Georgia, they were very honest. And I think that's the cool thing about this league is people are honest, and you have to be careful whether it's good or bad information. You do your homework, and then that's part of the process. That's not the only process. And from the minute I sat down with George Pickens in my office and we shot some hoops, it was very clear to me that this guy was fired up to be a Dallas Cowboy and excited to help us go win games.
Has he been late?
No comment.
John Schottenheimer with The Athletic. You talked about simplifying things on the defense in previous weeks. Is there any more simplifying left to do, or is it as simplified as it can be?
No, there's definitely some simplifying we can do. Like when you look at it, it's a good question, a fair question. We didn't tackle very well yesterday. Like that's one of the things that happened to us. We just didn't tackle well yesterday, and I talked to the guys about it. We've got a thing called cup tackling where you've got an outside piece, you've got an inside piece, and then you've got a guy, coming down from the top, and so it creates a cup, if you will. And we lost our cup at times. They had a very specific plan. They wanted to attack us in space, and so they were throwing the bubbles and the perimeter screens and things like that. And our cups weren't very good, and then we're still tackling a little bit high. And again, I know you asked me about simplifying. The other area that jumps up from simplification part is teams are attacking us on third down with quick cadences. If you go back, we forced a 3rd and 9 or 10, I think, on the very first drive. The very first third down of the game, I think, was 3rd and 9, and they kind of quick counted us, John, and we weren't ready. And talked to the guys about that today. The best type of defense is a ready defense, and that starts with us getting the call in from Flus, getting the call communicated, and then getting our cleats in the dirt and getting ready to play. And it started with Chicago. They did it to us some, and so people are going to challenge us with that. So you implement that a little bit more in practice, and you do a better job of preparing those guys. And the number one way to fix the third down issues on defense is to emphasize it and do it more in practice, which we will.
And then the flip side of that on defense, if someone was like, okay, so what is a positive that you feel like on the defense that you guys can build off of, what would that be?
Run defense. I mean, our 2 D tackles, Osa and Kenny, played their 2 best games yesterday. I thought those guys were excellent. I think our run defense is good. I've talked all week ad nauseum about Josh Jacobs and what a great back he is and the power and size that he has, but we did some really good things on first down, and Donovan Ezaraku, man, he just continues to excel, and he played really, really well. And in between the tackles, Jack Sanborn's been really good for us. But if we can make people one-dimensional, it gives you a chance. And so the answer to that question would be, I feel very good about our run defense.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. How are things looking for Malik Hooker and Tyler Guy?
Yeah, I think Geit's in the protocol. I think we feel like he's got a chance to play this week. Hook's got something we think a little bit more serious. Could be a couple weeks. Finishing up a few more tests, but he might miss a little bit of time.
On that note, what have you guys liked about Juanyeh Thomas throughout your time here, and then to be in that role yesterday? How do you think he performed?
Well, again, one of the biggest plays of the day was the block. On the extra point, huge, game-changing, momentum-changing play. I love his professionalism. I love his work ethic. I love his grit. Smart. He is a good communicator. I think that's important. We're looking to improve the communication, and I think he does a really good job with that. And he's actually gotten a lot of reps in practice because, we're smart with what we've done with Malik and Dono from a practice standpoint. So he'll definitely be ready to go. And, again, I thought he did a nice job for us yesterday getting called upon.
And from your perspective, how has this offensive line been able to stay so consistent despite a couple starters being out? You had to deal with the issue with Guyton and Steele during the game, yet you were still able to find running lanes and keep Dak mostly clean.
Yeah. Number one, the brotherhood. That unit in most organizations is super tight. These guys are incredibly tight. Every Thursday night there's a dinner with the offensive line and the quarterbacks, and they spend a lot of time together. But I don't think it doesn't happen without a belief in what you're doing from a scheme standpoint, a belief in what you have with a coach like Connor Riley and Clayton Adams and guys like that. And it's pretty amazing to think about the team we just played and their ability to rush the passer, that we were able to do that. The protection plan was good. It was sound. And a guy that probably doesn't get talked enough about that did a hell of a job yesterday, and you guys can pull up the clips, was Javonte Williams. He was cleaning edges for us a lot, and there's times where you want to keep him in, and those things don't go in the stat book. But I thought he was incredible at that yesterday.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. When you guys brought in James Houston on the first practice at camp, did you think that he would be having this much of an impact for you?
Actually, I did, Tommy. I really did. Because we had a hard time blocking him. We really did. I remember in training camp, him winning on a rush on one of the early third down. It might have been a 2-minute period. But it just goes to show you, there's great football players out there everywhere. And what I love about James is, here he is going out and creating, havoc for the quarterbacks and making a strip sack fumble, recovering himself. But he's also running down on kickoffs last week, making the opening kickoff, and did the same thing yesterday in terms of making plays. And he's getting better against the run, and that's not necessarily his strongest suit, but he's working on those weaknesses. And anybody that's willing to work on their weaknesses, to me, is someone that you're excited to have on your team.
With CD and Tyler Booker, have you guys learned anything more on them, and if IR is a possibility?
Yeah, they're both trending in the right direction. We're not going to make any decisions right now. I think we'd rather not. I think Book's out of the boot, which is great, and I think both guys are getting better. And we'll see what the time frame looks like. But I don't think we plan on doing anything, certainly right at the moment. But we reserve the right to change our mind.
Scholar. I'm Skyler Dixon with BAT. You mentioned earlier coaching a little bit more on third down defense, and I think you practicing a little more. And you may have kind of answered it with talking about the quick snap you a few times. But how do you feel like you kind of practice third down defense better, and how do you balance that versus maybe kind of psyching guys out about it and putting too much emphasis on it?
It's a fair question. I don't think you psych guys up. These guys are professionals, and whatever we emphasize, Skyler, they're usually great about. They get it. They don't sit around and read the stats, but they know. You can't look at our stats and not know that we're struggling on third down. You put a little bit more emphasis on it earlier in the week, which adds 4, 5, 6 more reps, maybe on Wednesday, a little bit more, and then you start throwing in more Thursday, and you probably got to give up something on first, second down to steal some more reps on third down. You got to steal some from red zone, and you got to be smart. But that's where the balance of a well-constructed practice schedule and the emphasis in front of the room. And again, I said to the guys today, it could be this week, it might be next week, where we win a game 10-3. And our defense has 4 takeaways, and that's the ebb and flow of our league, and that's the way things happen. So this is a football team. It's the greatest team sport in the world, and it's the most difficult team sport in the world because of how difficult it is. But we will emphasize third down. Why? Because we're not good enough. It's not the standard, and therefore you're crazy if you don't.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Dak talked a lot about the timing yesterday with his receivers, and that was one way to kind of counteract a pass rush that can get after the quarterback quick. What is just the behind-the-scenes kind of group effort to decipher, hey, what is our timing going to be on this play, and how impressive is it, I guess, to keep everyone in sync in that regard?
Well, we talk about a couple different things. We talk about the time clock of the quarterback and the rhythm of the pass. We talk about launch points, which is where the quarterback throws from. You never want the quarterback just to be sitting in the well, at 7.5 or 8.5 yards deep, right behind the center. So we try to change those up a lot. I do think that there's a lot that goes into the fact of, Dak and I's relationship and, understanding, we call it the play caller's purpose, which means when we call certain plays, there's a design of what I'm looking for as the play caller, because there's nothing worse as a play caller when you've got 1st and 10 and you call a pass that should make you, let's say, 5 or 6 yards. And you're like, you see the look, and you're like, okay, boom, I should be 2nd and 4. And then you're like, oh, man, it's 2nd and 10 because the ball goes someplace else. But I think, he's seeing it really well right now, and he's playing with confidence, and he's, just, like I said, playing firm on his back foot. And if you have a firm back foot, you're normally going to be getting the ball out on time and in rhythm, and that gives guys a chance to run after the catch.
And MetLife is obviously, the turf discussion comes at every time you guys have to go to MetLife, or anyone does. Do you have an opinion on that, and do you talk about the turf when you talk to your players this week?
No, I was there for the MetLife's first game. I was the coordinator. I remember we beat Cincinnati in 2009. That was the last game ever played, I guess, in the old one. And then I was there for the first one. But no, those are things. That we spend more time talking about the opponent.
This is The Athletic. Brian, as a former quarterback, and you've been around the league so much, building off of what you were just talking about, what are the signs you see when a quarterback is just feeling it, dialed in, whatever the case may be, and the way Dak is right now?
Well, I appreciate you putting me in the same category as Dak and some of the elite quarterback side. It's something. I did throw the first touchdown pass of the 1996 national championship season. Go Gators. I think the biggest thing is the trust that he has in all of our players, all of the skill guys. Like we talked a little bit last night, about Ryan Flournoy and Jalen Tolbert with a big, huge conversion for us in the 2-minute drive on a shallow cross, and the scramble play and the catch by Tolbert, which, again, I knew was incredible. I did not know how incredible it was. There we go. Is that you, Brad? No. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's all good. But that catch was incredible. But I do think that. I think it's just the trust that he has in throwing the ball to wherever the read takes him, and trusting that those guys are going to be in the right spot. And that sounds simple to the world, but it's not. You're talking about an elite pass rush group that was all around him. And, the throw he makes to George Pickens on 4th down is an incredible throw. It's low and away. He's got to move up because they're coming off the edge. And, that doesn't happen without lots and lots of practice.
And then you've had 2 overtime games now. You lost the coin toss in both overtime periods. The way that this new overtime is, has the results of these 2 overtimes informed you even better for when you do win a coin toss, how you might go with it? Yeah,
I think we have a plan. I'll share with you guys, if we would have won the coin toss, you're not supposed to say defer, so you have to say kick in overtime, because you want to know, what do you need? Because, if they go down and they get a field goal, then you're going to probably be aggressive and maybe go for it on 4th down and things like that. And so I think that's kind of the new realm that we all go with. But what you guys have seen really in both of our overtime games is the 10 minutes, it does go fast. And the next thing you know, you're like, well, hell, we got to go. Because I know they felt that, in Green Bay. And so that's part of it as well. But I think we're all adjusting to it, but that would be our plan.
Garrett
Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, I think Miles Sanders left the game briefly yesterday. What's the update on him?
A little ankle. I think most of the tests have come back good, so I think he's trending to be able to play.
And a month into the season, Jaden Blue is yet to be active. Where is he at in your program, and what does he need to do to suit up on game day?
Very close. I'll say it again. I've said it a number of times, Garrett. He's practicing really, really well. I challenged him a few weeks ago on being consistent. He's done that. He's becoming one of our best offensive practice squad players. He gives the defense an incredible look with his speed and playmaking ability. So very close.
Patrick.
Hey, Coach. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Just kind of feeding off of that. With Miles dealing with the ankle, even though he's trending towards playing against the Jets, obviously that you got to have an insurance policy against that. Jay Blue is one, but how does that color your conversations to come this evening on a guy like Phil Maffa?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we'll talk about. Again, the one thing that we have, and it was a little bit of a scramble yesterday when Miles went out because, we had to do some moving of parts on special teams. I thought Nick Sorensen and his guys did a great job because we had to pull Hunter off of some of the teams. Hunter's a guy that plays 4 core, but when he becomes your backup, runner, we had to make some adjustments. So we'll have those conversations. But again, I think kudos to Nick and his staff. And I mean, that's the unseen or unwritten thing that happens on game day when, they come up and they tap you on the shoulder and they say, hey, so-and-so's this or so-and-so that. It's not like, okay, cool, we'll figure that out later. Like, it's immediate, and you're like, okay, tell Nick, tell Flus, whatever it is. And, it's wild when you think about, we have these guys dressed and you can't use them all.
Get back to Dak for a second. A lot of people think yesterday may have been his best game. What do you think he's playing? You were certainly here in 2023 when he had his best season of his career. How would you compare where he is now to where he was then?
I don't really look back very often. I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I don't look back. I think, the player that I see every day in practices the way he plays. And I think, we've preached a lot here, I believe here, that practice is what separates us. And that's why I go back to the third down thing. Like, okay, well, just practicing it doesn't mean that you're going to improve it. Well, no, but it gives you a chance. And so I think the guy that you see performing on Sunday nights and Sunday afternoons is the same guy that we see on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Usually Wednesday's a little bit hit and miss because there's some new plays and new installs and we're trying things and he's trying throws and stuff like that. But, man, I would say his practices really for the first 4 weeks, have been outstanding. So you go into the game as a play caller with a ton of confidence because you're like, yep, saw that on Wednesday, saw it on Thursday, saw it on Friday.
You talked about earlier about the play design has a purpose. It seemed like last night he was on lockstep with you with the purpose because getting the ball out quick, taking the short things early, and is that part of what you're talking about? Because he said just being a veteran, been here 10 years, that's why he's playing the best.
I would agree that it helps, man. There's not much he hasn't seen. There was a play early in the game. We're in a double chip edge protection deal. We're trying to push the ball deep down the field. We're trying to neutralize the 2 edge pieces, which are great players, and they kind of all got out of there, and there was a little bit of leakage. I don't remember where, and he boom right to it was Javante, right to Javante. It was 2nd and 4 for a 5-yard gain. Bam, brand new set of downs. Well, as a play caller, man, you're like, all right, here we go. Like once you get the drive started, it's so much easier after that first earned first down as a play caller, and as a quarterback as well. You get the first one, you're kind of like, okay, there's a rhythm that kind of gets started. So things like that you're just like, man, he's executing and running the offense at a high level.
Todd. You talked about the missed tackles earlier. There's always going to be missed tackles. Do you guys have maybe 0 is the number that is acceptable each week for you? But how many were there, and how many would you look at for not acceptable?
Yeah, well, we had too many. I don't have the exact number in front of me. Those usually are getting tallied up once we get the grades and stuff in, and I just don't have those numbers in front of me. It was too many because what happens if you've got a guy and you've kind of got him in the cup, and let's say it's at the 30-yard line, all right, and you should get him, and we say either knock him sideways or knock him back. That's our words. You knock him sideways or you knock him back. Well, if that guy that should be tackled at the 30 gets up to the 34, 35, 36, that's 5 or 6 hidden yards. Well, that over the course of 70 plays, those 4, 5, 6-yard hidden yards become 40, 60, 70. And we're too good at tacklers to let that happen. And so there's a technique to it. And I don't think it's anything new to the league, Todd, the way, people, are smart with practice and how they do it in training camp and stuff like that. usually tackling gets better as the course of the season, but we need to get better. And it starts with technique and using our hamstring tackles and using your leverage of the cup that we're trying to create.
And then how much did you go back, maybe the first time you looked at it this morning, and say, really, there's 1 second left? Like,
Was there 1 second left?
maybe it was a half a second.
No. Look, hey, that game didn't come down to that. You know, we had our chances as a football team, and but yeah, if that ball gets kicked around just a little bit more, would have been interesting.
If it doesn't hit him, it's game over, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going there.
You're gonna change the clock
Yeah.
operator?
Huh? We don't have the clock operator.
NFL hires.
Get him, Ted.
Pays that position, yeah.
It's at home field advantage.
How about we put you in charge of the clock?
Yeah.
I'm not pointing fingers, but it came from over there.
Yeah, I know.
Anything else? You guys good?
And one more. Revel, is he taking a step back? Where is he at?
No, he's part of that discussion that we'll have over the next couple of days. No, I wouldn't think so. Again, you know, these things are all different. Everybody's timeline's different. You're talking about a young player, you know, young player that's dealing with a lot, learning the defense, having to go through all the rehab, and he's doing good. Yeah, man.
When Dak was trying to get to the end zone and Mike ended up tackling, Ferguson had the block on. Is that considered a missed block or what net rep?
No, it's a tough matchup. I mean, literally, if we look back at it again, we probably would have told Javonte. You know, it goes with me. Put Javonte over there to help him, but that's a tough matchup for Fergie. You know, and again, you know, about another half yard, and might have been a 1 yard gain. Sorry, Micah. Thanks, guys.